Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So heavyweight trial horse Kamil Sokolowski defeats the previously unbeaten heavyweight prospect George Fox in an 8-round decision. First and foremost, thoroughly deserved for Kamil Sokolowski. Kamil Sokolowski is one of the better journeymen in the heavyweight division. A casual, they'll look at his record and assume he's no good. But Kamil Sokolowski is one of those journeymen where if you're not up to a certain level, he will expose you. And that's exactly what happened with George Fox. George Fox just isn't at that level, and Kamil Sokolowski found that out. At the start of this fight, George Fox was trying to utilise his height and reach advantage, and in round 1, I felt he did a fairly good job at doing that. He was flicking out the jab, keeping range, keeping Sokolowski at arm's length, and he was kind of boxing to his rhythm, to his pace, and I felt George Fox started this fight relatively well behind the jab. Sokolowski did get a couple of body shots in there, but to me George Fox's work was more effective. After round 1 though, I felt George Fox really struggled in this fight. I felt maybe you could have given George Fox one more round. And yeah, after round 1, I felt Sokolowski really kind of took control. It wasn't like he was beating up George Fox. He was just out hustling him, old manning him, and taking advantage of some of George Fox's defensive vulnerabilities. He was able to get in on George Fox a lot easier after the first round. He found the body on a much more regular basis. He was jabbing to the body, maintaining a better work rate. He was also taking advantage of George Fox's low left hand. George Fox has a low lead hand, and as a result, Kamil Sokolowski was able to find his overhand right quite easily because he was closing the distance. George Fox wasn't maintaining distance, and on top of that, his lead hand was down, and Sokolowski could just find the overhand right, and most of the times he threw it, he landed it, and that was his key punch in this fight, aside from the body shots. And yeah, after the first round, I just felt Sokolowski, he was the guy being the aggressor, he was forcing the fight, and ultimately he was outlanding George Fox. George Fox had a couple of moments here and there. He landed some good pull counter right hands, some nice jabs, but George Fox's work rate was terrible, and it goes to show Kamil Sokolowski, he's a journeyman. I've heard he's got work outside of boxing, he's got a full-time job, yet Kamil Sokolowski was in much better shape than George Fox. He maintained a better work rate. To me at least, Sokolowski looked in much better shape, and to me that's a damning indictment on George Fox. George Fox is the prospect here. He's 4-0, he trains with Don Charles, right? Yet this guy, he was in worse shape than the quote-unquote journeyman, and it goes to show Kamil Sokolowski takes this sport seriously. And for me, I've always said this about Kamil Sokolowski, but he's a credit to the sport. He's a credit to himself. He doesn't go in there to lie down or take a paycheck. Every time he goes in there, he tries to test these guys and get a win. And we saw that tonight against George Fox. I'm really pleased for Kamil Sokolowski, quite frankly. Nothing against George Fox, but I felt Kamil Sokolowski in certain fights has not had the rub of the green. In my opinion, I felt he beat David Adelaide, for example, in his previous fight and got robbed. So I'm glad Kamil Sokolowski got this victory. Once again, he knocks off another unbeaten prospect. He exposes another prospect. And, I hope Sokolowski gets more fights in the future. Quite frankly, the fight I want to see is the rematch between David Adelaide and Kamil Sokolowski. I think that fight makes a lot of sense. Sokolowski is now coming off a win over George Fox, of course. And let's be honest, that first fight was very controversial. So I think that fight needs to be ran back. And I think that fight makes a lot of sense. But, again, credit to Kamil Sokolowski. Again, from what I understand, he's not a full-time boxer. He has a job. He gets called at last minute to fight. He doesn't get full training camps. Yet every single time I see this guy fight, he's always in shape. And we have full-time professional heavyweights out here who turn up looking like the Pillsbury Doughboy, So credit to Kamil Sokolowski. He's a credit to himself. He's a credit to the sport. And boxing needs fighters like Kamil Sokolowski, quite frankly. But yeah, I thought I'd make a post-fight on this one. I've got a lot of respect for Kamil Sokolowski. So yeah, congratulations to Kamil. Hopefully he gets a big fight next. Peace.